That's a big deal for us.
Outstanding.
We're gonna be big.
We had fun.
Yeah.
So close.
Well, they were. They did not have food. Very.
That's great. That's really two cities.
By that time, I'll.
Kids, see it.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, at least it's not rather. The good thing is
I keep forgetting my reading lessons.
You have some mail.
Oh, I have to check that.
And I've actually stuffed the. So I stuffed that in.
Okay.
It's all there together. I just need to remind. Got a few that haven't got. Hey, where are you?
Well, I figured out about the Bluff City Fair thing.
Did you?
Yeah. Kohler's bottom out.
Oh, I just bought them out. Huh?
Oh, so that's the end of
Okay.
that.
That's the end of that. There's it's oh, okay. That's I.
All I want to know is do they have food? No, they don't have that, but they have. Okay, yeah,
Anyway, no pressure on the subject. Next project, that's a different project. But I know there's a lot of other stuff.
Well, until yesterday, you know, made a little.
Whatever it is. What's that?
Have you announced Rodney yet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just,
No, I have. Everybody knows.
okay. This chicken.
We just hadn't put anything out publicly because he doesn't really promote till
Oh,
February
okay,
1st.
gotcha. I'd seen one on Adam, but.
Yeah, we'll do Rodney's.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
Once Mark's gone.
That's
Hate to beat Mark while he's while he's leaving. Well, I don't. I have been beating on him, but
I love that picture of him from how long ago.
Oh, I
He
know.
had dark hair.
totally
His
different.
mustache was dark. His hair was dark.
Yeah, he looks,
Mojo.
he looks totally different. Oh, really? Really?
Usually done 2 doors down.
Lived over on Tennessee. Huge Atlanta race fan. He is superstition came out.
Oh, really?
Cape Girardeau, on vacation. Thank you, sir. Father in heaven, we're grateful for the opportunity and the privilege to meet together this evening, and we're grateful for the freedoms that we are afforded in this great country to be able to assemble and to discuss these matters. Wilt thou please participate in this meeting and send thy spirit to provide understanding and open hearts as these discussions occur. Wilt thou please be with the council members that their minds can be clear and that they can understand the issues and decisions that need to be made at hand. Wilt thou please be with those who participate, that they can do so in a way that is civil and in a way that is constructive and helpful to the decision-making process. We're grateful for this community in which we live, and we're grateful for the blessings that thou dost bestow upon us on a regular basis. Please be with us now as we begin this meeting, and we pray for these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. You'll now join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no presentations this evening. We're going to get right into communications and reports. Any council members with any reports at all? Don't everybody speak up at once.
I just wanted to say to Deputy City Manager Molly Maynor, I wanted to say, great job on representing us. And I really enjoyed that. And I think that goes to, whenever I see Chief Blair and what he does at the state level, and you, Scott, we're really fortunate that we have great people that represent us. I shouldn't have forgot Eric too. So with what he does with MML. So I was really impressed with that and want to say thank you.
There's a lot of good articles in there about city and technology and economic development and innovation, and it's good. Good. Anybody else? Don't have too much to report myself. Hope everybody had a great holiday season, and we're off in 2019, and it's going to be an exciting year, I think. We did have a very exciting thing this afternoon. I had the ribbon cutting for SkyWest Airlines, third flight per day. We now have 19 flights per week. Before we had none on Saturday, now we have 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. They'll have 2 flights that stop in Paducah on the way to Chicago, and then 1 direct flight to Chicago. And it gives us the opportunity to fly anywhere in the world and much better connectivity with other flights. You've got 3 flights a day, so you can plan better and take in the Windy City now and then. It's a neat place to go visit. I know some of you have been there and on this flight, and it's just been super for us. So
Bruce Lloyd not here today?
he's
He was finishing up with
Finishing
the
up down there.
celebrations at the airport, so he will be here, but just a few minutes late.
I will
So
say,
we'll wait for him because I think he's got really good news from the numbers from last year, right?
yes, I can tell you,
All right.
our ridership almost doubled this year. We ended up with some late charters that were not originally counted. We ended up with almost 9,200 boardings last year, and that is amazing. We get to that magic 10,000 number, that's another $850,000 in money that comes in from the FAA for the city and for the airport. So we'll hit that next year. Hopefully early in the year, and then we can just keep building and go up and up. So great numbers. I didn't really have anything else, Scott.
Just a couple of items. One of them is over the last couple of meetings, we've been talking about economic development, and the article, as you mentioned, is timely. We heard from Magnet, and you should be receiving our at the end of each of our goals, we always send to each of the council members each of our departments has strategies they have that they're working on each goal. So you'll be receiving the economic development strategies in the next couple of days for you to review. And my ask for those is always look through them. Is there anything that we're doing that we shouldn't be doing that you think that maybe we ought to reduce? And is there anything that isn't listed that we should be doing? So just want to make sure that we continue to be aligned. We have the 5 major goals that the council's made a priority, and departments have aligned with those on each of those goals. So we've done this year fiscal stewardship and safety and health, and so this will be economic development. So that's coming. Second thing is just to point out, I think one of the council members had a call from a doctor or a pharmacist or something who had a question about Sudafed or the pseudoephedrines. And a few years ago, we passed an ordinance that said they had to be in writing. And so they were concerned that they actually were going to have to write them out. They couldn't electronically transfer them. But we clarified that, and it clarified actually right after we initially passed that, no, they can be in electronic form. That would be written as well. So certainly if anybody has any questions.
I brought that up, and when I was on Friday, they actually had me take them. So we need to do a good job of reaching out to pharmacies and some of our, I don't know how we would do that, and letting doctors' offices know that they can do that through electronic medical records at home.
Yeah, so if you hear of any doctors, we'll do that, and we can attempt to reach out to pharmacies kind of on a systematic basis over time. Certainly, this is not a good place in the United States to not be able to get your Sudafed or your pseudoephedrine. So,
Scott,
yes.
we thought about, as far as that outreach goes, maybe trying to
utilize our social media to
Yep.
push that information out to the
Yes.
public. I know.
Yep.
Pretty good size following.
Now, we can certainly do that. We do have a good size following. How many followers do we have on all of our accounts together? Over 50,000. So yeah, that's a pretty good reach. So yeah, we will do that.
Might also contact Cape County Medical Society and let them know, and they can disseminate some information too.
Okay. I didn't think of that. Very good idea. We will do that. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Are there any appearances tonight for any item that is not on the agenda? Any item that's not on the agenda? I see none, so we'll go right into the agenda review.
All right. We do have three public hearings tonight. The first one is a rezoning for Southeast Hospital out along Silver Springs Road. There's several parcels that are being rezoned from R1 to C2. The second public hearing will be for operating a billboard out at the business park. This is SI03 on their property. They'll be adding a billboard. They need a special use permit to do that. Third public hearing is a special use permit to maintain and operate a vehicle body and paint shop out on 450 Seamers. This is the old Bluff City Beer property and buildings. In that zone, you need to have a special use permit to operate a paint and body shop. So those three all came to you through planning and zoning and all recommended approval. All been a public hearing, but we will have these three public hearings tonight. On the consent agenda, items 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are all the second and third readings from last time. They involve some drainage easements for our arena park. They involve the signage for the Purple Heart city signage, and then 3 record plats. Number 11 is the amendment to our refueler out at the airport. This is another one of those good problems because we have more flights. We need an additional tank. And so this is an increase of tank so we can sell fuel, which is our big moneymaker out there. So that's number 11. Number 12 is our yearly concrete street repair. And a map of the places where that is. If you had not seen that, and those bids came in under the engineer's estimate. Feel really good about those bids, so maybe we can do a little extra if we need to. So that's number 12. Number 13 is design, Crawford Murphy and Tilley to do some design for a bar screen project at the wastewater treatment plant. This is in our capital improvement plan. Number 14 is a license indemnity agreement for an awning on 118 North Main. And then 15 is the acceptance of the public improvements for the car wash at 3451 William. Number 16 is a motion to approve the recommendation of the aquatic committee to partner with the school district on the aquatics facility at the Jefferson School site. So this is one we went ahead and removed from the consent agenda because we figured you would want to have some discussion on it. New ordinances, 17 and 18 are, we purchased our ARF vehicle and our snow removal vehicle for the airport. We ran into some issues with Buy American, so we had to have some additional work done by the consultant. That initially was not covered by the grant, so we committed to pay for it, but we went ahead and submitted for a grant to cover a big portion of that cost. So they were able to do that. So now then this is accepting that grant to cover 80–90% of that grant, of that cost, the additional cost. Number 19 is reducing the speed limit from 30 to 20 up at, I call it the old Notre Dame area. And then 20, 21, and 22 are from the public hearings. And 23 authorizes special tax bills for some properties where we have removed and condemned structures at 429 South Ellis, 529 South Ellis, 548 South Hanover, and 27 North Park. I believe that's all, unless you have any questions.
Okay, any questions, anybody? Good. We'll now go into regular session. We'll have the roll call.
Ryan Essex,
Here?
Bob Box,
Here.
Robbie Guard. Here. Victor Gunn. Here. Stacy Kinder.
Here.
Shelley Moore.
Here.
Dan Preston.
At this point, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Motion from Mr. Guard. Second. By Dan. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have 3 public hearings this evening. The first is a public hearing to consider a request to rezone property at 921 South Silver Springs Road from R1, the single-family suburban residential district, to C2 Highway Commercial District. And this is Bill 1907. Anybody here this evening to speak on behalf of this public hearing, for or against? Nobody here. In that case, we'll close this public hearing. Move to the next. Public hearing to consider a request for a special use permit for purposes of constructing, maintaining, and operating a billboard at 3849 Business Park Place. And this is bill number 19-21. Anybody here to speak about the billboard down on Park Place? If not, we'll close that public hearing. The third is a public hearing to consider a request for a special use permit for purposes of constructing, maintaining, and operating a vehicle body and paint shop at 450 Seamers Drive. This is bill number 1909. Anybody here to speak on behalf of the request for this special use permit? Well, that's as smooth as you can get. Yeah. In that case, we'll close the public hearing. Are there any individuals here tonight to make comments regarding items that are on the agenda this evening? Any comments for anything that is on the agenda this evening? Mr. Houston.
Good evening. My name is Percy Houston. I had the privilege last year of co-chairing the Yes April 3rd PRS2 committee. I also serve currently as the chairman of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. However, I'm here in neither of those capacities tonight. I'm simply here as a concerned citizen regarding the item on the agenda concerning the aquatic site location. The crux of my comments and concerns center around the rapid pace that we seem to be on to make this decision. I followed it closely. I know it's important to the community. We're 7 days into a 15-year Parks and Rec tax, and we just seem to be really focused on moving forward. In my opinion, quicker than we need to be. So I guess why are we in such a hurry? That's my first question. Can anyone answer that, or is anyone?
I don't know that we are in such a hurry as much as we have looked and asked for other partners that would come forth with the moolah to help us build this facility. And that's not happened. We've asked for people to come forward with help in operational expenses for this new facility, and that has not happened. And we have a partner that we've had for over 40 years with our present facility who came forth with an offer for both that may not give us total funds to build what everybody wants, but it's a great start. And that start may provide the impetus for other people to come forward and provide money to make it even bigger and better facility than what we have $10 million.
Well, you bring up two great points. So I want to follow up on those points. Number one, and I did attend one of the aquatics committee meetings where the, for lack of a better term, pencil presentation was made. Why wouldn't we take more time as a community, as a city, to follow up or allow that presentation to grow or foster or you know, give it more of a chance to come together? And the other question is that would also possibly lead to more dollars for the facility that I think a lot of voters in this community would like to see us get. I know if all this goes as perceived, we would at least have $10 million and a for sure site. So understanding if we were looking at another proposal, maybe not all of that $10 million would be there. It would require other investors. Some of that was kind of proposed at that presentation. But again, we're 7 days into a 15-year process. Why wouldn't we give more time for some of those things to develop? Why wouldn't the city want to do that?
I want to answer this, and that's because for the last 7 days, a lot of those viable partners were vetted before Mr. Penzel brought what I would consider a letter of interest that had no viable sustainability to it. Where Jackson, the city of Jackson is multiple years out, and that is if they can even get their taxes passed.
Understand that.
And from what I've also heard, that Jackson Public Schools was not 100% on board with the presentation that Mr. Penzel put together anyway. So then I go back to the current partner that we've had for 40 years, and I say it is a viable partner. It's not only a viable partner for some capital, it's also a viable partner for the maintenance that is going to be over the next 50 years. So as it may appear that this was rushed, I can assure you that this was not rushed. There were conversations asking Mr. Haas that Mayor Fox had with Mr. Haas, that Mayor Rediger had with Mr. Haas, and quite frankly, nothing came to fruition.
And we've given it enough time?
Since the election happened, when we said, because originally it was going to be a $12 million facility, and the council at that time pushed it back to a $6 million facility and said, we are open to any and all partners at that time. And that was the whole piece that went out in there. And it was from day one, what partners are out there?
Right, but I don't think we ever envisioned a $6 million facility. We always knew that we were going to do
That we were
something.
going to need partners.
Yeah, and we always knew that. And we were
Stepped
going to,
up right to the plate.
again,
And all we had to do is say, we're looking for partners, person. And they came right to us.
and I just question whether we've given the process enough time to actually say this is really the best location. I mean, why didn't the committee come to a unanimous vote? It was a pretty small committee. I mean, that to me tells us that we have doubt, that we're not sure. And my only,
I don't think that a unanimous vote means there's doubt. I think the committee vote was not necessarily about doubt because they have a belief that this facility needs to occur. I will say that I was a little, I can't say perturbed, but it was just a little upset that Mr. Penzel's idea was given to us with kind of what I call a pie in the sky view, and that as far as I know, Jackson schools and the other schools and the other entities were never contacted. So how could he give a proposal that they would be partners in a project when they were never contacted in the beginning?
well, why would Councilman Sander have been at that meeting and indicated that they did have an
Well,
interest?
Councilman Sander was there representing the city because Mayor Haas could not be there because they had a meeting that night.
I understand that.
The city of Jackson is interested in doing something with their pool. They are at least a year or two away before making any decision whatsoever. We wait a year or two and we lose a viable partner we've had for 40+ years. We lose not only $4 million, but we lose 40% of the operating expense, and that, it's not going to happen.
And explain to me how we lose them, Mayor.
How we lose them?
Yeah.
Because the district's going to move on with what they need to do for their schools, for Alma-Schroeder and for Jefferson, and they're going to do their building project, whether or not we have an aquatic center or not. Now, it's going to change the way that may happen at one school if the bond issue doesn't pass, but we're back to square one with no aquatic facility.
If the bond issue doesn't pass?
No, if we've got no other partners.
And where are we if the bond issue doesn't pass?
Well, then we're going to have to reevaluate what we want to do as a council and as a community, and the district's going to have to evaluate what they want to do as a school district.
Well, and it's not to say that at that point in time that, historically, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, when we did the sports complex, correct? The number 3 thing that was a viable option was an aquatic center, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
So it's not to say that in 7 to 10 years, we don't, after that's paid off, it's not to say we come back without any viable partners and we pay for an aquatic center with those taxes, which was the number 3.
Yeah, for the restaurant tax monies, but in all likelihood, it's going to be right near the end of when restaurant tax expires anyway.
Which would have to ask for.
But you could then at that time do that. But there might be a little bit of extra money, but probably won't be.
I don't think, I understand your concern about the pace of the decision, but we felt like, at least I felt like, the pace of the decision was not rapid in any way. I mean, we've looked at this a lot of different ways. And if we want to get this thing done with our partner we've had for 40+ years, this is what's got to happen. That's irregardless. This is just the straight facts about money and about operating it and about paying for it. This has nothing to do with the benefits that an aquatic center could have for the south part of our city and our city as a whole. Because if we change the whole concept of the south part of that city and in conjunction with all the purpose-built initiative that we want to do, with the porch initiative and everything that has to happen in that south part of that city with better housing, better health care, more business development, you're going to see a vast reduction in crime, and you're going to see people actually moving to that part of the city, whether it's on the river or whether it's in new houses that are being built down there. You're going to see a change that is so dramatic that I think you'll be amazed in 10 or 15 years. I might not be around then, but somebody's going to be around to see the change that happens in this city.
Well, I think purpose-built is a great concept and it has great possibilities. I think purpose-built needs an anchor. That's just my opinion.
The anchor of purpose-built is the people. It's not an aquatic center.
Well,
It's not a building.
In your analogy there.
We're
saying that's
it's just,
key.
no, I just said it's one part of it. It's a very little part of it. And I've had questions. I've had 4 or 5 people call me this last week and ask, why that site? I don't know if I want to send my kids down there. And I said, do your kids play soccer? They played in baseball tournaments or softball tournaments down there? Do they play youth tackle football? They're all down there.
And we're getting ready to build 2 new parks down there. I understand that.
And it's a very viable part of our community, and we need to maintain it like we maintain any other part of our community.
I agree. And I'm not making this an issue out of
I'm
purpose-built. I'm
okay.
simply here to state my concern about the speed with which we're making a decision, and that we're going to sell ourselves short on not only the size and the use of facility, but what it could do ultimately for the city of Cape in potentially another location. And we just haven't vested enough time in looking at it. That's my comment. I understand everybody's thoughts.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have one more question that I'm just curious about, and it actually is, as it appears on the agenda. And it's under staff recommendation. And it says, the staff recommendation is to approve the recommendation of the committee. I don't understand who the staff is. So what staff is making that recommendation to the council tonight?
City manager,
The staff is one person.
in this case, yes.
Thank you very much.
I just want, one other statement about, the why the rush. If you go back to when we started after passage, one of the things that, the reason the Aquatic Center, decision wanted to go fast was because of the condition of Central Pool. Central Pool, reported was that, the bubble's in really bad shape. A lot of the, piping and other things are in bad shape. And so it was desire to move that ahead so the decision could be made so that we wouldn't have to invest more in that infrastructure. So at least that's what I heard from staff and from others that we need to move quickly because of that to have a decision. So might have been, I know it's not necessarily about where we are in the process now, and your point is more about that, but the reason why we started immediately actually, was because of the condition of not wanting to spend more money on the existing.
Mayor, Council, Dave Cantrell, native Cape Girardian, graduate of Jefferson JU, we called it, and a business owner and Park and Recs board member. And I don't want Percy to feel like he's a lone ranger out here, because I've heard, unfortunately, growing up, a lot of people here, and I was part of that sales of that bill of goods for that tax. And I've had a lot of people approach me and ask me the same thing. Why there? My daughter used to swim, and those swim meets were crazy, packed, parked. People, I hear them complaining about places to stay and trouble getting to and from. And so I think of this as a city program, and I love Cape Girardeau. That's why I came back after being gone 15 years. And I love what I see the leadership of Cape doing for this city and the parks and the world-class or regional class sports complex. And I'm not saying next to that is where this aquatic center should go, but I do know the bill of goods that I sold and that sales tax on the TV, on the radio, and on phone calls and emails wasn't specifically for the schools. It was for the city. And I think this has become a school-centric program. I mean, I was reading back on articles that were before it was even voted on in January 24th of 2018, the talk of the aquatic center and that development. So I'm not saying it was a foregone conclusion, but I just think every time I've rushed into something, and I'm not saying you did rush. In my thought, it was a rush, but after hearing why we're doing, why the decision is, I mean, I understand that. I get the money thing. I mean, well, I want to see the biggest, baddest project we can do too. But at the same time, I'm not thinking that we have given it due process and time and waiting for someone else to come forward with that presentation. Unfortunately, I was out of town during the Pennzoil presentation, but I heard fantastic things about it. And I think more people need to hear that. More organizations need to hear that directly over a lunch table, and not so much even a public hearing, that they get the opportunity to weigh in and give some what ifs we do this or what ifs we do that. And we're 15 years, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but let's, I implore you to please take a step back before you vote on this tonight. What's another month? Right, and I understand the bond issue, but what's another month to maybe selectively go after those one more time before we make a hardline decision and possibly blow an opportunity for other investors to get into this. And maybe even let some other, maybe we use some other people to go after some other investors. I don't think Jackson's out of it. I know they may be a year out, but they're not going to do anything if it's that far east. They're not going to. And I think we lose a potential option there. I'm a public school guy. And so I love my public schools and I fully support them. But I sold something to the citizens of Cape Girardeau when they voted on this. And this isn't what I think, it's not what I had in mind. I don't think it's what they had in mind when they were answering back. Duly noted. Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about the rushing or the why do we have to make this decision? Before I got on the council in April, and even before that, when the whole park and stormwater tax issue was a year ago put before the community, there was discussion about this aquatic center, and there was clear language that the city could provide up to $6 million, and that the city was looking for other partners. And so that conversation really has been going on for a year in Cape. So I just don't see the argument of us rushing as holding much water. If there were other entities that had an interest in providing operational or capital funding, I tend to think a year is a good enough time to at least express some interest. Now, you know, the only committee meeting I did attend was that Pennsville presentation committee meeting. It's already been stated. I didn't hear of any commitments really, or even any discussion that has happened in Jackson or with the Jackson School District that could confirm any of the hopeful conversation that was put forward. Furthermore, I kind of have thinking to the future. I have concerns about entering into an agreement or an arrangement with another city when each school district or city entity is going to need to get voter approval for continuing funding, or you know, hypothetically, what if Jackson, you know, 5 years from now, their community says, you know what, we're not using this pool just over the city boundary in Cape, and we want out. You know, each city is going to be dependent on their voters to deal with that. We're looking at a pool that will be sticking around for a long time. So that's a concern of mine, is entering into, if we have something in Cape, then we're talking about the Cape Public School or the Cape City voters. That's, you know, that's kind of one group that we need to deal with and have dialogue with, but we can't really control another city's conversation or their priorities. So that's a big concern of mine, is even trying to envision how that would work in the future, 5 or 15, 20 years from now. But for me, the real big issue was that at that meeting, there was just a lot of hypothetical and no commitment. I think Mid-America was very clear that they were not coming in with any capital money or any operating funding at all, except for the land, right? So I don't know what another month is gonna take. Jackson has indicated, I read in the paper that Jackson says they're a year or two from even discussing this. So I don't know what more information we could find in a month, unless somebody has information that they'd like to share.
I would like to say something.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Out of everything the two gentlemen said, the thing that I heard the most was, why over there? Did you answer that? Why over there? Where is over there? It's not like we don't understand the language, but the aquatic pool has been there. I didn't do all of my years here in Cape Girardeau. I wasn't privileged to that, but I did my last 2 years, and that pool has been there, and it has benefited everybody, not just the people over there. It has benefited everybody, every child that went to that school. So, I mean, you saying that we are rushing it? No, we're not rushing it. This has been on the table for a minute, and now we have someone that's going to come and support it. Then it's a why over there, and I really don't understand it, because it don't seem to come to me when I interpret the why over there. You said it in so many words. You don't want your children over there. We don't want to take our kids over there, and so therefore you come up with this answer and says why over there. I say why over there because there's young babies over there that would love to go to a pool too, but they can't afford over there. And then to be balanced, then the city need to balance it out. It should be a pool over beside the school that's designed to be a partner with the city. There's no such language as over there. We are citizens, whether we live over there or over there or over there. And I'm really kind of saddened by that, because I could maybe agree with your argument if it wasn't for the fact that it's over there, and I don't want my children to go over there. That's all I got to say about it. I feel like over here is a wonderful place, and our babies and our youth and the teenagers need to enjoy life just like any other child. That's all I have to say.
Mayor, council members, Neil Glass, Superintendent of Schools. I just wanted to say thank you very much for allowing me to speak tonight, and also thank you for entertaining the idea of partnering with the school district for another 40 years, because it has been a great marriage, in my opinion. And why in the world we'd want to look anywhere else is beyond me. We have partnered together for 40 years. I think it's been a great partnership. I think we've worked extremely well together, and we have a real opportunity. And when Mr. Houston suggested that we're going to blow an opportunity, I think we will blow an opportunity if we don't take a hard look at taking care of our own backyard. And we serve those students that walk through our doors every day. Ms. Ragsdale, KB, Kelly Branch, and Jefferson Elementary work extremely hard at doing that. They have so many needs. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but Wall Street Journal put out an article earlier this summer that talks about concentrated poverty. Guess who is number one in the state of Missouri in concentrated poverty? Cape Girardeau. We got it. We got the prize for that. Okay. Well, we have an opportunity to do something about that. We have a real opportunity to make a difference, to actually put down something down there that means something to that community and to revitalize that community, where investors can take a look at that and say, yeah, I want to be a part of that. Yeah, I want to take advantage of that, because that's what this is going to mean. Not only for a revitalization effort, but also all the different services that can be offered. Tom Cousins saw it. Warren Buffett saw it. They revitalized a part of Atlanta that nobody wanted to step foot in. And that's part of the purpose-built communities effort. And that's what this facility can do for us. We're taking this scattershot approach. And there's people with big hearts out there saying, we can address this, or we can address this. We're going to pack backpacks. We're going to feed the hungry. We're going to give them clothes. And we're all working in different silos when we can all be working together at one location trying to serve these kids. They're bright. They're intelligent. They just got awarded an opportunity to go to the premier national technology conference in the nation, because the people in the nation understood what they're doing down there at Jefferson Elementary, that they're really making something happen called emerging engineers. 5 of our students get to go present at the national level. That's the amazing things that are happening down at Jefferson Elementary. So when we talk about opportunities, I want to make sure that we understand what the opportunity lies ahead of us right here, right now. And that Cape Girardeau School is right there, wants to be your partner. We want to invest. I know we still have an uphill battle to fight in passing this bond issue, but I think we need to get the message out because the message is loud and clear. As far as my faculty is concerned, as far as the people that I communicate with concerned, they're ready to step up and do this because we see the need, we see the opportunity, and we can make a big impact on this concentrated poverty. So thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Yes, Ryan.
So I'm the newest council member. And I was not involved in any of the PRS discussions, but since my time in May on the council, I've gotten lots of calls and received lots of opinions about this aquatics facility. And I respect everyone's opinion. The one thing that I've been focused on, and it's really not a part of the discussion tonight, but I'll go ahead and bring it up, is I know Scott has brought it up a lot, and that's the ongoing operational cost. To this point, as of January 7th, 2019, one partner has come to the table and said they will participate with the city for ongoing operational costs. And they'll honor that agreement that we've had for 40 years. And really, that's where I'm at. When I get calls recently from my constituents, that's been the discussion. How are we going to pay for it? Not just how are we not going to build it? That's already figured out from a city's perspective. We passed PRS2 for $6 million for aquatics facility. But how are we going to operate it for the next 30 years? The city can't pay 100% of the cost. Someone has to come to the table. And right now, there's only one partner that's come to the table with that. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Stickle. I live at 2000 Perryville, and I'm the Executive Director of Community Caring Council. I'm also the co-chair of Authentic Voices, which is a grassroots advocacy group in South Cape. And I won't be long-winded. I just simply want to thank Mayor and the City Council for making this, I'm sure, difficult decision in light of some controversy to choose Jefferson as a potential location for this aquatic center, recognizing that our neighborhoods, particularly South Cape neighborhood, deserves to have an investment, a significant investment in infrastructure that we see in other parts of the community but don't often see there. And I don't live obviously in South Cape, and but I echo and share what Shelley said about the whole mentality of being over there and how disappointing that is that we have people in the greater community that feel that over there is not somewhere where they want to invest. But until the community comes together and decides that every area is worthy of investing in, and I heard someone talk about balancing out, then that's when we're going to have the significant change that we want to see in that area. And until that happens, it's going to stay the same way. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing that we've always done and expecting different results. So I just want to thank each of you for making that decision. And I'll also say that being quick and being impetuous are two different things. I think you guys have been very thoughtful in making this decision. And I just want to say that the Cape Girardeau School District is a significant partner of the council, and they always come through for us. And I'm just excited that they're willing to come through for the city.
Thank you. Anybody else? Bell rang. Anybody else? If not, we will move on to the consent agenda. Eric?
Number 18-177, an ordinance accepting a permanent drainage easement for 1234 South Pacific Street from Keller Property Investments LLC in the state of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. An ordinance accepting a permanent drainage easement for 1234 South Pacific Street from Keller Property Investments LLC in the state of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 18-178, an ordinance accepting a permanent drainage easement for 321 Optimus Drive from Canyon Construction and Development LLC for the Arena Creek Box Culvert Project in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. An ordinance accepting a permanent drainage easement for 321 Optimus Drive from Canyon Construction and Development LLC for the Arena Creek Box Culvert Project in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 18-179, ordinance authorizing city manager to execute an agreement with Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for installation of Purple Heart signage in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and ordinance authorizing city manager to execute an agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for installation of Purple Heart signage in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 18-181, an ordinance approving the record plat of Blotner Meadow subdivision, ordinance approving the record plat of Blotner Meadow subdivision. Number 18-182, an ordinance approving the record plat of AB Commercial Property subdivision, ordinance approving the record plat of AB Commercial Property subdivision. Number 18-183, an ordinance approving the record plat of Austin subdivision, ordinance approving the record plat of Austin subdivision. Number 19-01, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute First Amendment to the refueler lease agreement with Eastern Aviation Fuels, Inc. at the Cape Girardeau Regional Airport. Number 19-04, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute an agreement with Nepkilly Equipment Company, Inc. for the concrete street repair 2019 project in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 19-05, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute an agreement with Crawford Murphy and Tilley, Inc. for the wastewater treatment plant, influent pump station, mechanical bar screen project in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 19-11, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute a license and indemnity agreement with Paul Caruso for installation of an awning at 118 North Main Street in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
You have been read the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Guard. Second by Mr. Preston. Any discussion?
Mayor, please mark my vote and abstention on number 9 and 15. Good financial company.
Anything else? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 16 is a motion to approve the recommendation of the Aquatic Committee to partner with the school district on the aquatics facilities Jefferson site. This basically is the first step to accept the recommendation of the Aquatic Committee. I believe the school board will meet the 17th to do the same. And if they approve it, and then they'll move forward. Motion made by Stacy and seconded by Shelley. Any further discussion? Yes?
So what happens if on the 17th the school board says no?
Back to square one.
Just out of curiosity. I mean, just throwing that out there.
That might be the only option.
Well, then the recommendation, according to the process, the recommendation would not be approved, so then we would basically be back to square one.
You'll be back to square one.
Not be back to square one if the bond issue doesn't pass.
That's true too.
That's true too. That's true too. Any?
Jump onto something Shelley said earlier, and Bob, you did too. That area has hundreds and actually probably thousands of kids in it every day of the week at Jefferson Elementary, in the neighborhoods, at Shawnee Complex right across the street. There's football practices and soccer practices and tournaments and everything. And so I guess I've been a little saddened to hear some opinions of that not being a safe place to take your kids or whatever. I flat out think that's false. And I hope the community and beyond hears that message more and more in the months and years to come. And somebody else on the council mentioned, having this facility at the Jefferson site will allow a lot of people who are not able to drive, and a lot of kids who are able to hop on a bike or even just walk to use this aquatic center or community center if that's what it ends up being. So I see nothing but positives in this move.
I've already said what I think, and I don't need to repeat that. I think it's gives us a chance to do something that the school district is starting with the education process of these kids in the south part of Cape, in that Jefferson district. And it's 10, 15 years from now, people are going to be amazed when they look at this community and see how it's advanced and what has happened. It's going to be an amazing thing. Anybody else? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. New ordinances. Bill number 1902, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute amendment number 2 to the state block grant agreement with the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission to fund the acquisition of an aircraft rescue firefighting vehicle at the Cape Girardeau Regional Airport. Motion by Victor.
Second.
Second by Robbie. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 1903, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute a state block grant agreement with the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission for a snow removal equipment vehicle at the Cape Girardeau Regional Airport. Motion by Robbie.
Second.
Second by Ryan. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 19-06, an ordinance amending Schedule A of Section 26-228 of the City Code by amending the speed limit along Ritter Drive and a portion of Forest Avenue in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Robbie. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 19-07. This is in relation to our first public hearing. An ordinance amending Chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri by changing the zoning property located at 921 South Silver Springs Road in the city and county of Cape Girardeau, Missouri from R1 to C2. Motion by Robbie,
Second.
second by Shelley. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill 1908, an ordinance granting a special use permit to Derek and Carla Cornelius for the purpose of constructing and maintaining and operating a billboard at 3849 Business Park Place in the city and county of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Motion by Robbie,
Second.
second by Stacy. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Bill number 19-09, an ordinance granting a special use permit to Paul Bradley Russum and Bluff City Beer Company for purposes of constructing, maintaining, and operating a vehicle body and paint shop at 450 Seamers Drive in the city and county of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Motion by Victor, second by Shelley. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Bill number 19-10, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of special tax bills on properties for the demolition of dangerous buildings for nuisance abatements under the provisions of Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. A motion by Dan. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ryan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have no appointments. I know of no other business this evening. Entertaining the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion adjourned. At 5:55. No closed session tonight.